It's time for your daily dose of all things Chicago sports. This is the Daily Score. Now, here's your host, Mark Grote.
I am freshly returned from the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, where I got to talk to all the hot shot prospects, and we're going to do a rundown of all of those guys. We're going to hear from Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, Jackson Powers Johnson, one of the top centers in the draft, Joe Alt, one of the top tackles in the draft. So Brock Bowers, the very talented Georgia tight end. So we are stacked on this edition of the Daily Score. My impressions of the Combine, the biggest takeaways for me, that I went into it with an open mind about the quarterback position and Caleb Williams and whether or not he would be the guy. I went in about 90% thinking that they have to draft this guy. I had left Indianapolis for Chicago thinking that it's about a 97 or 98% chance that they will draft Caleb Williams. The only thing that is left with Caleb Williams is the opinion of Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus and Kevin Warren and George McCaskey, because this is a big bite right here. One of the biggest prospects in terms of hype ever, in terms of the Combine and the pre-draft process. Doesn't mean he's going to be the greatest quarterback ever, but it certainly the hype has been unbelievable. And having watched his tape, watched the video, watched the highlights, everything one can possibly watch about Caleb Williams, I am convinced about him physically and as a quarterback. He's imperfect. There are things to work on. Not the greatest year statistically this past season, so he is not perfect. He's not this complete golden child coming in, but I'm good with that. My guess is the Bears are good with that too, but the one little part we don't know, and this is where things could possibly change with the draft, is what the comfort level is with Caleb Williams from Ryan Poles' perspective and the Bears, believe me, and the rest of the Bears' perspective on can they handle this guy, just because of that he comes in without having done anything, he comes in as a superstar with lots of money in his pocket, and that's a different animal. I enjoyed his press conference. I was, front row actually for the press conference, was able to fire off several questions to him, and I thought he did really well. And let's get to the tape for those of you who are needing the wrap up from the Combine weekend. There are two cuts that stood out to me, I think, the most. And there's a lot, or maybe this is just what I'm feeling right now for the podcast here as we record this for the Monday morning show. Caleb Williams was asked what intrigues him about the Chicago Bears.
I mean, the Bears was an 8-9 team last year, I believe, and 7-10. Sorry, and that's pretty good for a team that has the first pick. And they got a good defense. They got good players on offense, It's pretty exciting, if you could go into a situation like that.
Caleb, the Bears have been around more than 100 years. They haven't had a whole lot of dominant quarterback play.
Yep.
Does that intimidate you at all?
Whole lot of dominant quarterback play? No, not at all. I don't compare myself to the other guys, that's there or been there. I think I'm my own player, and, I tend to like to, create history and rewrite history.
That's a tendency that we like. I like that in the scouting report. Quick release, elusive, great arm angles, tends to like to make history. I like that guy coming into the building for the Bears. But really that first cut, this cut right here that we're hearing, the fact that he understands that what we have been talking about, like it's not your traditional first round pick, or the team that's drafting him does not suck. The Bears were mediocre, but they don't suck. So mediocre, thumbs up. The other question to Caleb Williams, this is a question I asked him. I asked Caleb Williams, would you be disappointed if you were not drafted number 1 overall by the Bears?
It's not a thought in my mind. Yeah, I don't think I'm not going to be number 1. I think I put in all the hard work, all of the the time, effort, energy into being that. I don't think of a plan B. that's kind of how I do things in my life. I don't think of a plan B, stay on plan A, and then when things don't work out, find a way to make plan A work.
Like that. I mean, supreme confidence, towing that line between confidence and cocky. Cocky's good for quarterback, though, right? I mean, Joe Burrow's cocky. Patrick Mahomes is cocky. I'm always edging away from it. I don't want to call the guy. They're cocky, but that's good. You know what? Sometimes in life, cocky works out. For quarterbacks in the NFL, it does. Caleb Williams is a little bit cocky. I like that and self-assured. But you need that, man, as a quarterback, especially as a quarterback that's probably coming to the city of Chicago. Let's move on from Caleb Williams to some of the other names that you guys have been hearing about, including the wide receivers. It's not out of the realm of possibility that the Bears are able to snag Malik Nabers or Rome Odunze. Let's start with Malik Nabers, the outstanding wide receiver from LSU who averaged 17 yards per catch this year, and he was asked about the Bears.
I mean, I'm happy to go anywhere where I'm wanted. Where I wanted to be, one of those receivers that they move around, can give me the ball. So anywhere where I'm able to do those things.
The idea of being paired with a rookie quarterback, would that be particularly with him?
Yeah, I talk to Caleb all the time. He always, talks about that I'm a great receiver. So, I'm just waiting till that day to be called, really.
Like it. Yeah, and he went on and talked about his relationship with Caleb. They played video games together remotely. So, these two dudes already have at least a friendship, a rapport, and that's always good. But look, the bottom line is that Malik Nabers is the second best wide receiver in this draft. He is. Marvin Harrison Jr., the number one guy, although he did not participate in anything at the combine. I'm not worried about that unless he's hurt. So that leaves Malik Nabers as that guy. But my gut is that the Bears are not going to have a shot at Malik Nabers. But we shall see. Maybe it's Washington's Rome Odunze, who was maybe the most impressive speaker of all of them at the combine. But this guy's got the size. He's your size guy. 6'3" going on 6'4", speed, go up and get it guy, all of that stuff. And he was asked, check this out, man. You talk about confidence, or we're using the word cocky on this episode. He was asked who's the best receiver in this draft.
Bro, who's the best wide receiver in this class?
Me.
Yeah, and why is that?
I just think, my versatility on the field. I think, I've shown all the skills that can translate to the NFL at a high level in different facets of my game. And I think who I am as a person, who I will be to a locker room, who I'll be in a community are all A+.
A+. Yep. Rome Odunze right there, who would fit in very nicely. He's my number 3 guy. I mean, and that's not exactly original. I think a lot of people probably have it stacked up similarly that I do. Marvin Harrison Jr. 1, Malik Nabers 2, and then Rome Odunze 3. Very impressive with everything that he did at the combine this weekend. The best tight end in the draft, and this is a guy that some people have considered. The Bears would probably have to do a little work to get to him, but there would be no shame in adding another tight end to Cole Kmet. I know you just paid him $50 million, but Brock Bowers, the Georgia tight end, is the real deal, and he did meet with the Bears.
Yeah, I met with the Bears, and love watching Cole Kmet. I mean, he does a great job in all aspects of the game, being tight end. So, yeah, it'd be exciting.
Brock, to that point, Luke Getsy is in Las Vegas now, and he was really instrumental in helping Cole Kmet. How do you feel like he could help your development as well?
Yeah, I think just all those guys at the next level will bring something different and just be able to develop my game in new ways and hopefully translate me and get me integrated into the next level.
Like that. Brock Bowers, he was a man of few words out there. Again, my gut is that the Bears don't land him, but this is part of we're still learning about what Ryan Poles values in building a team. And I know there's standard values that we all know, and quarterback and the skill positions, but does he have the belief in a 2 tight end system? Like, does he really want to load up there? Does he want to load up at receiver? So we just don't know what he's thinking. To that end, same philosophy one of the best centers in the draft is Jackson Powers Jr. of Oregon. Bears desperately need a center. Lucas Patrick is not walking through that door. Obviously, Cody Whitehair is not going to be back with the Bears this year's release unless they re-sign him. That's not completely out of the realm of possibility, but you and I both know that man is not starting at center. As good of a Bear as he was, center was not the spot, not the jam for our guy, Cody Whitehair. But Jackson Powers Jackson Powers Johnson has it all. And I love this guy. Talk about potentially pandering to us. Check this out from Jackson Powers Johnson.
Jackson, the Bears are in need of a center. With all that they have going on with their top picks right now, do you think about the Bears? Is that a possibility as far as you know?
Man, I hope so. I mean, if you ask my mom, she'll say for sure. But, yeah.
She's a Bears fan?
Yeah. My mom's an everybody fan. So, no, definitely, of course. I mean, I'd love to go anywhere. Bears is a great place, and especially a good SNL skits. Bears. Love it. So. Yeah, I have met. It went great, same thing. Incredible people, incredible, a lot of great history there too, and that was just a great interview.
Like, how do you feel you can help with their, because they do an outside zone heavy run game?
I feel like I have great outside zone. I think, my coaches at Oregon really did a great job preparing me for that, and I feel like I really can fit in that scheme, especially in Chicago. I hear they have great pizza there, especially deep dish. I'll have to try that. So.
The idea of playing with Caleb Williams, is that something that intrigues you and potentially the Bears draft him with the number 1 pick?
Yeah, of course. Caleb's an elite quarterback, elite guy. I met him in recruiting, got to play against him when he was at Oklahoma and USC. Elite competitor, elite quarterback. Be humble to play with him.
Did you bust out the SNL stuff for Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, or the deep dish stuff when you talked to them?
Yeah, I talked to him a little bit about that, of course, because I walked in and I was like, duh, Bears. So it's a good one. Hopefully I can grow that mustache. So.
This guy is hilarious, man. I mean, that's a smart kid. Somebody. What do you think of that, Ray?
I got to ask you something. Okay,
Yeah.
you on your appearances on the Parkins and Spiegel show on the Score.
Yeah.
You have your Bears rating system. So how many Bears?
That's a
does
great question. Thank
Howard
you.
Johnson get on your rating scale?
Right. I always give guys that either pander to the Bears or are from Chicago. Like Cole Kmet, 8.5 Bears from being a local kid. He gets 8.5 Bears on the 1 through 10 scale. It's such a great question. I'm glad that you asked. Now, understand, you are immediately docked 4 points, or make that 3 points if you are not actually on the team. So the best he could get is a 7. Okay. So I am going to give, without further ado, Jackson Powers Jr. 6.5 Bears. Because he mentioned the Bears twice. He offered the deep dish, the SNL skit. He did it with enthusiasm, and the fact that he brought it up with both the media and to Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. You know what's funny about it, Ray? I was thinking about this because Jackson Powers Johnson hasn't been alive long enough to have seen it. I understand he saw the videos. That's what we do, and that's great.
Yes.
Not from Chicago, nor is Ryan Poles, nor is Matt Eberflus, nor is Kevin Warren. George McCaskey is the only person who could genuinely speak to it. So when somebody goes up to Ryan Poles, the 30-something Ryan Poles, and does that, I'm sure it registers, but at the same time, he's like, oh, yeah, man, the Bears and all that. Like, he didn't live it. You know what I mean?
For sure. And I'm very surprised that he brought it up to a degree, during this important combine meeting. But that conversation, I'm going to say, probably doesn't happen if Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus don't have the darts and putt-putt thing already going on.
Yeah, that's probably true. Although I will say something about the darts and the putt-putt. They stopped doing that when on their meetings, their second day of meetings, like with all the quarterbacks and like the wide receivers, like Malik and Kate, like they didn't. I don't know if it was they felt like they didn't have the time to do it. They needed to get stuff in, or if it just wasn't working out. I'm not really sure. Maybe
I know Jaden Daniels apparently did not want to participate.
Oh, he didn't even want to participate.
That was a report that came out that Jaden Daniels said, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." So maybe
you're not getting me on this. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you suck at both of those things, you don't want to show any vulnerabilities. Like, what are the Bears going to make if this guy throws a dart and it doesn't even hit the board? Are they just going to be like, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. If you can't putt or throw darts, you are not one of us.
Or like, if a player is taking this so seriously and approaching it with a business-like standpoint, and then you roll up to these guys with darts and putt-putt, it's kind of a really goofy-looking situation.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good point. Maybe they're like, get a couple of guys just looking at them like, oh, man, maybe we better take this. Wait till they get a load of the hits principle.
Yes. Too good. Too good.
Oh, man, that was awesome. All right, we got one more. So that was Jackson Powers Johnson. I love it. That guy's got great size and unbelievably intelligent. He's also a singer, as we learned later on. And I think it was him that's the singer. Yeah, he was talking about Celine Dion being one of his favorites. So I don't know. That's interesting. All right, last cut. Maybe consider the best offensive line prospect in the draft in Notre Dame, local kid. At least in terms of Notre Dame. I think he's from Minnesota. But left tackle, Joe Alt on his Bears meeting.
It was great. It was a lot of fun. Normal stuff, went through film and worked through that stuff, and I had a great time.
Memories of playing with Cole Kmet?
Yeah, I never actually played with him, but I do know him. He came back, and we were doing some drills and stuff, and I got to meet him, and great guy.
Yeah, so that was Joe Alt. Didn't really get too much more in depth like that. I'm doubtful for him. And again, there's always these wild cards. We do not know what Ryan Poles is thinking beyond that number 1 overall pick. We also don't know what kind of picks the Bears will have, if there's any kind of trades, trade down or trade up, if they're anxious to get one of these other guys other than the quarterback, would move up for a wide receiver, move up for an offensive lineman, move up for a left tackle in the category of offensive lineman. But that's one of my favorite parts here as we wrap up this edition of the Daily Score. There is what we think we know. I think I know that Caleb Williams is going to be drafted by the Bears, but then there are tons of things that we just don't know, no matter how hard we dig, no matter what sources we speak to. There are things that only Ryan Poles is going to know. So as we typically say, stand by. I'm going to be on the air tonight from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock with Gabe Ramirez, and I'm going to bring all of my Bears audio, all of my Bears notes, and just unload it for 3 hours Monday night on 670 The Score. Thanks for Mr.
One more
Diaz.
thing.
Yes.
There's one more thing. We cannot end this episode, and this was not in the plan. This was not in your plan because you're not like a self-serving person, but you won the combine as far as everybody at the Score is concerned, Grote. Caleb Williams. In Chicago, he went viral because he changed his Instagram profile picture to him as a kid, and it had a bear on it.
You posted on Instagram a picture. I think you were a kid wearing a T-shirt with a bear on it. Was that intentional or
no? It was not intentional. I didn't see the bear on the front, but it was kind of funny when I saw the reports about it.
So you dropped in the like that was perfect, and everyone that I talked to at the Score, Dan Bernstein, Lawrence Holmes, our guy Studs, everybody at Ryan Parth. It was the talk of Friday for us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So,
hey, man.
You won the combine, man.
Hey, look, we're here to inform, but first and foremost, my philosophy, Ray, has always been entertainment first. And involuntary responses do occur, and that's what that was, ladies and gentlemen.
It was kind of
awesome.
Thanks for playing that, Ray. I appreciate you, man. Thanks. Yeah, man. Thanks to everybody for listening and watching. It's wild, man. It's wild out there when it comes to the Bears. I'm loving it, and the Daily Score is the place to get it here on the Score and the Daily Score. Thank you to that guy, our executive producer, Ray Diaz. I am Mark Grote. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Daily Score.